Welcome to Starwatch Now, your front row seat to all the hottest gossip, drama, and breaking news from the world of entertainment. If it's trending, shocking, or star-studded, we're covering it. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss what's coming next. He's known for his silence, his mystery, his refusal to play by celebrity rules. But today, that all changed. In a moment that took fans by surprise around the world, Wang Yibo, China's most enigmatic star, finally spoke openly about love, and what he said will stay with you forever. It was a moment no one expected, quiet, unscripted, and deeply human. As the lights dimmed slightly during the Q&A session in Shanghai, a fan stood and gently asked Wong Iba, "Do you believe in love?" The room stilled, as if the very air was holding its breath. For a few seconds, he didn't respond. Then he looked up, smiled faintly, and leaned into the microphone. His voice, usually guarded and measured, carried something different this time: warmth, honesty, and a quiet strength. "I used to think love was a distraction," he began, eyes scanning the audience with sincerity. "My focus was always on the next project, on proving myself. I didn't allow space for anything else." His words landed with weight, not just because of what he said, but because of who he is, a figure known for silence around matters of the heart. But then his tone softened. "Lately," he continued, "I've started to believe that love doesn't take away from who you are, it adds to it. It can be strength." There was no dramatic gesture, no theatrics, but the raw truth in his voice hit harder than any headline. The audience didn't just cheer, they felt. That subtle shift, from emotional distance to vulnerability, meant more than a confession. It was a transformation. It was Wang Yibo revealing not a relationship, but a mindset, a readiness, a willingness to let life in. In that brief, unscripted moment, he crossed a quiet threshold, from a man driven only by discipline to someone finally allowing his heart to speak. And across the world, from Seoul to San Francisco, fans saw not just their idol, but a man becoming whole. The global reaction to Wang Yibo's unexpected admission was nothing short of extraordinary. Across continents and cultures, fans responded not simply with excitement, but with a depth of emotion that revealed how profoundly his words had resonated. In a world where celebrities often keep their personal lives locked away behind curated images and rehearsed statements, Yibo's quiet honesty broke through in a way that felt deeply personal to millions. From Thailand to France, Canada to Japan, social media lit up, not just with trending hashtags and clips of the moment, but with heartfelt messages, letters, and reflections. Fans didn't just see a celebrity speaking about love. They saw a version of themselves in his words. Many admitted they, too, had been afraid of love, or had spent years focused on survival, success, and self-protection. His vulnerability gave them permission to reflect on their own lives. "He's grown up in front of us," one longtime fan wrote. "And now, in this moment, it feels like we've grown with him." What made the response so moving was that it transcended language and nationality. It wasn't about gossip or romantic speculation. It was about human connection. Even those who didn't speak Mandarin understood the emotion in his voice, the sincerity in his expression. In fan cafes across Seoul, handwritten notes were left for Yibo, expressing gratitude and encouragement. In the Philippines, groups organized virtual gatherings to discuss how the moment had impacted them personally. And in Europe, fans praised him for showing a side of masculinity rarely celebrated, one grounded in sensitivity and self-awareness. Wang Yibo didn't just speak about love, he sparked a quiet revolution. He reminded millions that it's never too late to soften, to open up, and to hope. And in doing so, he made everyone watching feel just a little more seen. What made Wang Yibo's moment of openness so impactful wasn't just what he said, but what it symbolized. For years, he has been known as someone who moves with purpose and restraint, dedicated to his craft, fiercely private, and seemingly untouchable. Yet, in that quiet moment, he offered the world a different version of himself. One that was evolving, questioning, and ready to be seen not only as a star but as a man. His words marked a shift, not only in his personal journey but in how public figures, especially male idols, are beginning to challenge the expectations placed on them. In an industry where vulnerability is often seen as a liability, and where silence about one's emotions is mistaken for professionalism, Iba's decision to speak with honesty was quietly revolutionary. He did not offer grand declarations or carefully rehearsed statements. Instead, he shared something raw and real, a thought that many carry silently, that perhaps love is not a distraction, but something that strengthens us. For fans who have followed him since the beginning, this moment felt like watching a wall slowly crumble, not to reveal weakness, but to reveal growth. It showed that even someone who has achieved so much, who has spent years under the scrutiny of fame, is still growing, still learning how to let the world in. It wasn't a confession of love for another person. It was a love letter to his own future, one where emotion no longer has to be hidden. This honesty invites a different kind of admiration, not just for his talent, but for his courage to evolve in public. In a single moment, Wang Yibo reminded us that change doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. Sometimes the softest truths echo the furthest. Beyond the headlines and viral clips, there were moments surrounding Wang Yibo's quiet confession that revealed an even deeper emotional truth. Details easily missed, yet profoundly telling. While the world focused on his words about love, those close to the scene noticed subtle changes in the man himself. His posture, once rigid and cautious, seemed to soften. The way he paused before speaking, the flicker of hesitation in his eyes, all pointed to a decision that went far beyond a single statement. It was the kind of vulnerability that isn't rehearsed, it's lived. Backstage, after the event, a quiet scene unfolded. Iba was seen embracing a member of his longtime team, someone who had worked with him since his earliest days in the industry. It was not the kind of moment meant for cameras. There was no performance in it, just a sense of release, as if, in sharing his heart publicly, he had lifted something heavy he had carried for years. It reminded those watching that growth is often invisible until the very moment it rises to the surface. Industry insiders have quietly noted that this emotional openness could mark a new direction in his career, not one driven by image or trend, but by substance. There are already whispers of scripts being rewritten to suit Iba, who is no longer just the untouchable icon, but a man ready to explore deeper, more emotionally layered roles. And perhaps more importantly, to live more fully off-screen as well. What makes this moment so deeply moving is not just that he spoke, but that he changed and allowed us to witness it. In a world starved of authenticity, Iba's quiet shift offered something rare. The reminder that even the strongest among us are still learning how to feel and how to be free. Wang Yibo's quiet admission about love carried more than personal meaning. It felt like a message to the world. In just a few unguarded sentences, he opened a conversation far larger than himself. It wasn't a grand speech or a dramatic announcement. It was something much more powerful. A gentle human truth spoken aloud in a space where silence had long stood in its place. And in doing so, he gave voice to countless people who have felt the same way but never dared to say it. At its heart, his message was not just about romantic love. It was about the courage to grow, to change, and to let emotion in, even after years of shutting it out. Iba didn't tell people how to feel or what to do. He simply shared where he was in his own journey. That vulnerability, so rare in public life, reminded everyone that strength and softness can exist side by side. That choosing to feel deeply, to hope again, isn't weakness, it's evolution. In a time when so many hide behind filters, expectations, and fear of being misunderstood, his honesty felt like an invitation to be more present, to let ourselves believe in something more, to not be defined by the roles we play or the walls we build. It was a quiet encouragement to every person watching. You are allowed to feel, you are allowed to change, and you are allowed to begin again, no matter who you are. Through his moment of openness, Wang Iba offered something universal. Not a statement crafted for headlines, but a mirror. A reminder that we all carry untold stories. And sometimes, the bravest thing we can do is speak just one of them aloud. And when we do, we may find the world is more ready to listen than we ever imagined. Thank you so much for watching. If this story touched you, inspired you, or simply made you smile, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another story that moves the world. Speech balloon and tell us in the comments. What does love mean to you today? We read every word, and your voice matters here. This is your channel name, where stories aren't just told, they're felt. See you in the next video.